Next, from the state capitol, we hear the comments of those who rallied against legislation that would make gay marriage legal in Illinois. This runs about 15 minutes.
I was honored to speak in the executive committee here in this building against same-sex marriage. I'm saddened that pastors, two of them with PhD degrees, who preach out of the same Bible that we preach out of, where God said, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. God put male and female together. Not the government. Marriage has existed since the beginning when God brought Adam and Eve together. And the two of them came together, two of them became one in the child. Two homosexuals cannot become one in the act of having a child. So what have they done? In Illinois, they have changed their strategy. They no longer say that gays have a civil right, because we refuted that. Civil rights had to do with the people who had no rights. Blacks were redefined as property. That justified slavery. Babies in the womb were redefined as being a blob or tissue. That justified abortion. So now they're trying to redefine the institution that God created. Come on now. There was no justice of the peace. There was no governor. There was no senator. There was no president. There was no party that defined what marriage is. I love God and I love this country. I received a phone call from Hawaii from a pastor there. He wanted some suggestions and some help. Amen. I, my wife, Linda Jernigan, and some others were flown out to San Antonio, Texas. Look, when you leave here, go back home to your cities and pick up the fight in your local cities. This gender issue is going over the nation. But I'm here to tell you, if my people who are called by my name, if they will turn from their wicked ways, God said, then I will hear from heaven. Now heal the land. Thank you. Amen. Thank you. Amen. Thank you, Pastor Galloway. Amen. All right. Well, listen. Thank you, Pastor Gary Holliday. Pastor Holliday mentioned Linda Jernigan. Linda is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for 10 years. She is an ex-homosexual. How many of you ever heard of an ex-homosexual? Yeah. All right? Saved by grace. And she's here to tell you 13 years later that change can happen. Linda.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Jernigan, and as my brother Dave said, that I stand before you today to testify of God's life-changing power. You can clap that. You can clap that. And some of you may know that God delivered you from fornication and adultery and alcoholism and nicotine. I'm here to tell you that He delivered me from all of that too, but as well as homosexuality. It doesn't make sense for us to serve a God who cannot transform your life. One of the wonderful things about Jesus is you can come as you are, but you don't have to stay as you are. But He can change you. I said He can change you. I said He can change you. He can change homosexuals too. I said He can change homosexuals too. So we don't have to make law. All we have to do is send homosexuals to Jesus and let Jesus change their desires. How many of you all believe that homosexuality is not a civil right? Homosexuality is not a civil right because it is a transformable behavior. I'm not the only ex-homosexual. There are millions of us out here, but the media do not want to cover our stories and our testimony because it will refute the fact that homosexuality is a civil right. But we testify to the life-changing behavior that God has given even unto homosexuals. Now let me tell you what a civil right is. I am a black woman.
That's right.
You looking at me today, I'm a beautiful black woman, but I'm a black woman. If I alter any of my private parts, I would still be a black woman. If I change the pigmentation of my skin, I'm still going to be a black woman. My DNA is going to testify. Regardless of the alterations I make to my physical body, my DNA is going to testify that I am a black woman. Now that is a civil right. That's the civil right. But I was once a homosexual. Over 13 years ago. I had been living with a woman for 15 years. I had been in lesbian for 19 years. But I stand before you today no longer a homosexual. No longer a lesbian. And for that, we know that the behavior is transformable, so it is not a civil right. Jesus said that he will make all things new. He said all things will pass away. And part of the old things is homosexuality. So he can make it new if we put our trust in him. We need to understand that marriage is between one man and one woman. Children need a mom and a dad. As an African American, I can tell you that out of 7 out of 10 of our children are born out of wedlock. And this has devastated our community. And now we have campaigns to bring our African American fathers back home. Because we understand that children need a mom and a dad. I said children need a mom and a dad. So what happened by mistake in the African American community? We do not want to do this intentionally by approving same-sex marriage. Because I don't care how masculine a woman is, she cannot be a dad. I don't care how feminine a man is, he cannot be a mom. Children need a mom and a dad. 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 And we are here not hating on anyone. We are here because we love our children. We are here because we want to give our children a future. We want to give them the best opportunity to survive in life. And we understand in order to do that, that they will need a mom and a dad who loves the Lord. Amen, Linda. Amen, Linda. Okay, Bishop Lance Davis from Mount Zion in Dalton, Illinois. Bishop, come on up. Thank you, Bishop.
I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord, and the humble shall hear thereof and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. This is the Lord's doing, and it's marvelous in our eyes. Take a look at this great company and this cloud of witnesses that declares that all of those who agree that same-sex marriage should be the law of the land are indeed on the wrong side of history, and they're on the wrong side of righteousness. We are a great people together. We're united in his name. We are united under this cause that one of the things that has destroyed our community and even our nation is the fact that the family structure has been destroyed. We're here to put it back together again. And we're here to say to our state that you are under the auspices of an awesome God. And because you are under the hand of an awesome God, The whole nation, and I dare say the whole world, is watching Illinois and watching what we do here this day. Not yesterday, but what we do here today. You came in numbers way beyond what they came in yesterday. Why? Because we are great and we're united together. This has everything to do with one man and one woman.
Peter Navarro from Americans for Truth About Homosexuality.
Thank you, Dave. Dave says boil it down to 2 minutes, so I'm going to try my best. First of all, it's tough following Linda Jernigan, former homosexual. How many of you have ever met an ex-black person? Have any of you ever met an ex-Latino? I've had the privilege of meeting probably over 50 former homosexuals. It's a story the media won't tell. It's out there because the media wants you to believe that people are born gay. Don't believe it. They're calling this bill something to do with religious freedom. Remember what they did with the Civil Unions Act? They called it the Religious Freedom and Civil Unions Protection Act. Yes. What happened after it was passed? This is the family of Jim and Beth Walder. They had a bed and breakfast in Paxton, Illinois. Shortly after the law was passed, they were sued by 2 homosexual men under the Civil Unions Act, and because these men wanted to hold their civil union ceremony on their property. The fact is that gay rights laws, including gay marriage laws, and civil rights and religious freedom are incompatible. That's why we saw Catholic adoption services put out of business by the Civil Unions Act. Don't believe them when they say this is about religious freedom. Now, the religious left is busy using moral arguments now. They know that they've got to try to appeal on a moral basis. Here's what I say to that. Jesus Christ was a friend of sinners. He was not a friend of sin. Homosexuality, our heart goes out to homosexuals, transgender people. We must help them, lead them on the path of change, but homosexual behavior is not the basis for civil rights. In that sense, homosexual marriage is an oxymoron. You have an aberrant behavior attaching itself to one of the most noble institutions that mankind can know. Well, what are the repercussions beyond people being sued? In our schools, if gay so-called marriage becomes legalized, gay so-called marriage will have to be taught as the moral equivalent of real marriage in our schools. What does that mean? That means even children's books like Daddy's Roommate, which are trying to normalize aberrant sinful behavior to young children who don't even know what sex is yet, will be taught in school. If little Johnny asks his second grade teacher, "Can I marry a man someday?" what is the answer? That teacher would have to say yes and could not say anything that would be deemed as biased or discriminatory against so-called gay marriage. Let me just leave it at here. I'm worried that if homosexual marriage becomes the law of the land in Illinois and across America, marriage will be changed in a pro-homosexual direction. Here's a gay activist named Dan Savage. He's one of the most vicious gay activists. He's very popular, especially the media, because when you're a left-winger, you can do anything and the media will still celebrate you. Dan Savage, you know what he says? If your marriage is having sexual problems or having problems in your marriage, you know what one of the solutions might be? Have a secret adulterous affair. Can you imagine adultery being promoted as a way to prevent divorce? Homosexual male relationships especially are known for their promiscuity. Yes. Andrew Sullivan, a famous gay activist, said that outside sex is a reality of homosexual relationships. We will see marriage changed in a pro-homosexual direction, which will further undermine the nobility of marriage. This issue right here, I'm so proud of Illinois Family Institute for what they've done. Yeah. It's all about... Let's give a hand to Dave Smith, because he's going to work. This is about whether you fear God or you fear man. If you fear man, you'll go with the current, and you'll go with the gay marriage current. If you fear God, you'll stand for what God values, which is marriage between one man and one woman. Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel.